Ward versus Kovalev 2. Good fight. Good fight. Much like the first fight, a good competitive fight. Um, terrible stoppage. Terrible stoppage. We'll get to that in a minute, but I was actually pleased and impressed with both fighters. Made adjustments, stepped up their game, and I thought they actually, both of them, fought better in the second fight than they did in the first fight. I thought Kovalev made some adjustments, whipped the jab, controlled pace and distance with the jab, and actually pushed the fight. And he just made the adjustment of sticking with that jab, and controlled the distance throughout the first 7 rounds. I actually had him up on my scorecard. I'll get to that in a minute as well. As the fight was stopped, Ward made the adjustment of loading up on shots more, particularly the left hook, and did a really good job of that, particularly to the body. Once again, dedicated to the body throughout the fight, and set himself up nicely for the later rounds. He saw in the first fight, he saw that the later rounds is where it's at for me. I'm going to economically go about my business, even if I lose some rounds early in the fight, and set myself up nicely for the second half of the fight. And that's what he did. You saw Kovalev start to gas a little bit once again, like he did in the first fight, and Ward started to step up his punch, not his volume, but his punch velocity as the fight went on. What I was displeased with was Weeks' terrible stoppage, in that the fight could have gone on. Yes, Kovalev was slunched over, but he was not against the ropes. He did not look helpless. Yes, he looked gassed. Yes, he looked hurt. But at the same time, you could have let that go on. Let Ward catch him with a huge uppercut and at least get a legitimate stoppage. Now, all of these things can be true, because you'll hear a lot of stuff going back and forth between Ward fans and Kovalev fans on here, and you're going to be able to tell the biased ones. But all of these things can be true, in that Ward legitimately hurt Kovalev opening up the 8th round. He legitimately hurt him with a body shot to the belt line, which was below the belt line, but the belt is always high. These fighters put their belt high. So, legitimate shot. And then he legitimately caught him, went back upstairs, and Weeks did a good job of not biting on Kovalev trying to catch a break. That's where Weeks did a good job. Then Ward went upstairs and caught him with the hellacious straight right that also hurt him upstairs. So Kovalev was hurt. He's not going to tell you, but he was hurt. So that's true. Now, here's my problem. Later on in the round, about 30 seconds later, he goes back to the ropes, and Ward clearly catches him with some low blows. That's clear. Caught him with some low blows. That's true. You're going to hear some Ward fans say that that's not true. It's true. Caught him with some low blows, and Weeks did a bad job of handling that and stopped the fight early. And even if he catches him with low blows and Kovalev is slunched over, let the fight go. Even if you don't see the low blows, let the fight go. There's no need to stop the fight there. Let Ward catch him with a hellacious uppercut, because, in my opinion, Ward was setting himself up for a stoppage late. And you heard it, I think it's between second and third rounds, him and Virgil Hunter were talking back and forth with each other, and Virgil's like, don't worry about it, you'll get there. And Ward was actually discussing, I want to stop the guy, and Virgil's like, you'll get there. Now, whether he stops him late or not, I don't know. But if you look at the scorecards, it was 67-66, 2 of them for Ward, and 68-65 for Kovalev. Now, and Kovalev was starting to fade, and you would think that would have been a 10-8 round, possibly 10-7 as the round went on. Kovalev would eventually went down, and he would have gained more points there. So he was setting himself up nicely for the later rounds. I actually had the fight 68-65 for Kovalev. I thought he was banking those rounds. Now, I agree with Max. Although he was winning the rounds early, it still looked like Ward was more comfortable with setting himself up late. And it was really setting itself up for Ward taking over the fight late. So all of those things can be true. You could have Kovalev winning the round, and I know how people are. They're going to be biased. They're going to be, oh, you're a Ward hater, or you're a Kovalev hater. I'm going to be called both in this video. But all of these things can be true. All right, I had Kovalev winning the fight by 3 points up until that round, which would have changed after the round, obviously. But I still felt like the ebb and flow of the fight, as the fight was going on, the momentum was starting to gear towards Andre Ward late. And I feel like he would have legitimately and definitively won the fight later, whether it be on the scorecards or by a stoppage. And that's why I'm aggravated with Weeks, because as a boxing fan, I feel like I was cheated out of a legitimate and definitive win. And I didn't get that because of Weeks stopping the fight early. He should have let that go and see what happens. See what happens. Kovalev was not hurt that bad. He was gassed. And he was hurt bad. I revised that. But he wasn't hurt bad enough to where he was out on his feet. You get what I mean? So I'm just aggravated with Weeks more than anything, because I feel like he should have given boxing fans, and he should have given Kovalev the ability to at least go out on his sword, because Kovalev is a warrior, and he should have given Ward the chance to definitively and legitimately win the fight, because I do feel like those last couple blows were low. And there's always going to be that murkiness there. But other than that, man, I was impressed by both fighters. Ward as well. I could do without the low blows, but once again, if you're at the belt line and the referee is not stopping it, why not continue going down there? But both guys stepped up their games. Both guys went in there with a good game plan. It's just, there's an issue with Kovalev gassing, and I think he did a good job of handling it. In that, even when he was gassed, you saw him between rounds, he's gasping with his mouth wide open, trying to get some air. And still with that, he was still the volume puncher. He's still throwing twice as many punches as Ward. That's why I'm giving him the rounds, and he's still landing more shots. His percentage isn't high, obviously, because he's throwing more volume, but I just thought he was landing more shots, controlling the pace of the fight, controlling distance, and was doing a good job there. Ward was throwing the more effective shots and was landing some big shots, but wasn't doing it enough for me to give him these rounds. And that's why I had Kovalev up 3 points, and I actually had Kovalev winning the first fight by 3 points. That being said, it doesn't matter because Ward won the fight. Ward's game plan ended up working out. Dedicated himself to the body, loaded up on shots, and he realized after the first fight, I got to keep this guy more honest. I have to keep him honest. I have to throw some bigger shots. I have to land some more effective shots, and he wore him down. Like I said, just disappointed in the fact that Weeks didn't let it go. And as far as the scorecards go, the 67-66 is the two of them, and the 68-65. I don't really have a problem with that like I did in the first fight, because I thought the first fight, the scoring was bad, and Kovalev should have won. But in this one, there were actually some close. 5 and 7 were very close, in my opinion. So if you sway those two the other way, I have the fight 67-66 for Ward. So didn't really have a problem with the scorecards being all over the place in this one. But good fight between two great fighters, and I was pleased with as a boxing fan, other than the stoppage. Didn't like the stoppage. Thought the last couple blows were low, but that's boxing. You give and take. So hit me up. Let me know what y'all thought about the fight. Ward versus Kovalev 2. Peace.